So at a certain point on this road trip, I get these texts from this number that seems to know everything about what I'm doing, who I'm with, where we are, okay?
I was in school at the time, so I was catching public transport nearly every day. I believe that this is how this man worked out every single thing about me. Where I was going, where I went to school, where I lived, what I did for fun, who my closest friends were.
A big difference is that both of my parents' stalkers were of the opposite gender, versus me and my sister both had stalkers that were girls.
Every other time I'll see this man at the gym, I'll see him watching me, like predator type stare vibes.
Like, we're just sitting there, just us two in the car, playing fucking Fortnite. And tell me why, in the deep depths of the dark night, we see a fucking shadow run past the car.
Basically, I have this stalker that keeps coming up to me on the streets. And it doesn't matter which area I am.
So it got so bad to the point where my parents and his parents, like both sets of our parents, had to get the police involved because, I mean, it was scary.
I was sound asleep, and at 3:28, my TV just turns on.
Night, this man comes in, he's wearing sunglasses, and I'm like, that's kind of weird why you're wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night, but okay, whatever. He comes in to buy a pack of cigarettes, and he's just like, oh my goodness, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, where are you from?
Grab your popcorn and pepper spray. These stalker stories are so unhinged, you'll laugh, cringe, and question humanity. From just checking in to full-blown GPS tracking, it's giving Delulu. If you love chaos, drama, and secondhand fear, hit that subscribe button, because we've got plenty more where this came from.
Guys, I've come to a point where I feel like it's no longer safe walking the streets of London. Basically, I have this stalker that keeps coming up to me on the streets. And it doesn't matter which area I am, he just knows where I am. And I'm just very confused because how does this random guy keep finding me? How does he know where I'm hanging out? And it's like, today was the 4th time he came up to me and he said, hi, by the way, I just wanted to say that you look great. And he does that every time. Like, he just gives me some random compliments, and he's just so freaky, scary, and unpleasant to, you just feel the energy is just off. And I want to understand, am I the only one who has some random stalker finding me in London streets? Is this normal? How would he know where I am? And what can I do about it next time if I see him? Because it's actually a bit scary.
So earlier this year, I found out I have a stalker. It all started when my friend and I went on a road trip, and it was a very last-minute road trip, okay? They came home late on a Sunday, asked me if I wanted to go. I said sure. We left early on a Monday, and we didn't have any solid plans. We didn't know where we would be going, like what routes we would be taking, what states we would be going through. We didn't know much about anything, okay? And the only person that we told that we were going on this road trip was our roommate. And again, we didn't know the specifics, so our roommate couldn't have known the specifics and couldn't have told anyone the specifics, right? So at a certain point on this road trip, I get these texts from this number that seems to know everything about what I'm doing, who I'm with, where we are, okay? So I get a text from this number, Yaya, how are you, Brittany? Hope you're well. I'm Brittany. I say, is this Yaya? Because that's what I call my grandma. Doesn't really matter, disregard it. They say, it's Chelsea from Oscar Wilde. That's a house that I used to live at with about 30 other people. I'm assuming that's how they got my number. Chelsea was my housemate. She hit on me a couple times, but I always let her down politely, okay? At one point, they hooked me up with someone that I bought a substance from, so that's why they said, did you end up buying blank from Bash? But that's not why it's weird. The reason it's weird is because they say, I'd be interested in doing a trip with you, also Ileana, Grand Canyon. The substance that I bought from this person, Bash, I did at the Grand Canyon with my friend Ileana, the day before I got these texts. And a lot of their texts don't really make a lot of sense. It seems like they're having a psychotic break. This person actually got kicked out of our house because they had schizophrenia and were accusing a bunch of people of being spies. But anyways, I'm able to pick out certain things here and there that are really scary. Like, for example, they said Supreme Court, Justice, Judge. The reason this is scary is because at the moment that I got these texts, the moment they sent me these texts, I was beneath the LA County Courthouse skating in some tunnels. Don't worry about it. They say Justice again while I'm underneath the LA County Courthouse, okay? Then they say, peace out, girls, psychic girls, peace out. The day that I received these texts, we had gone to see a psychic, okay? We didn't actually end up seeing them because it was COVID and shut down, but the point is we had gone to see one. And again, we have no idea how they had any of this information. We didn't tell anyone we were going on this road trip. No one knew the specifics. We weren't posting about it on social media. I wasn't sharing my location with anyone. But one of the things that's a clue as to how they might have this information, they say something about their sister Hannah Dunham at Google. But like, really, Hannah? You're really gonna risk your career helping your sister stalk someone? I don't know. Maybe I should sue. Do you guys think I should sue? Let me know in the comments. I'm watching you, Hannah. You're gonna lose your job. Oh, and then they name dropped this person, Hunter, which we had been talking about that day. My friend and I had been talking about the guy, Hunter, the day that I got these texts, and we don't talk about him very often, which makes me think they were somehow listening to our conversations, maybe tap my microphone or something. So I called them out on it, okay? I'm like, how did you know I went to Grand Canyon with my friend Ileana and did certain things there? And they tried to pull the sorry, wrong person. Really? Because you mentioned me by name, okay? This doesn't seem like I'm the wrong person. Another thing to mention is that this person lives like 2 blocks from me, and I saw them on the street a couple weeks before the road trip. Okay, but nothing happened. They didn't text me again. No developments in the story until now. Like for part 2.
Something interesting about me is that every single person in my family has had a stalker. My whole family being me, my older sister, my mom, and my dad. I didn't really put 2 and 2 together that everyone had had a stalker until my parents and my sister were trying to give me advice on my own situation that I realized, oh, so we've all dealt with a stalker before. Cool. A big difference is that both of my parents' stalkers were of the opposite gender, versus me and my sister both had stalkers that were girls. So whenever I would tell this story, people would be like, hold on, she? For me, it all started in my freshman year of college. She was in the same class as I was. I think her and I had a total of maybe 2 conversations, if I'm being generous. I could tell that there was something just a little bit off about her. One of the interactions I had with her, I remember it was me and one of my really good friends who was also in the class that we had together. And me and her were just looking back and forth because she was making such weird comments and just acting very strange. That was the last in-person conversation I had with her before she DM'd me asking to hang out. And obviously, based on the first interaction I had with her, I personally wasn't going to be fake or lead her on when I knew I didn't want to pursue a friendship. Months go by and she texted me asking if we could get drinks or something. It was via Instagram DM, so I just never opened the DM until a couple months later. I finally opened it and saw a massive paragraph in all caps full of rageful text. I am gonna be so honest, it was so incoherent and I couldn't even tell you what she was talking about. All I remember is responding, "I'm sorry, what?" ? And then she blocked me. At this point, I was super confused, but I was like, honestly, whatever. She clearly has something going on. I know I didn't do anything, so I just ignored it and moved past it. After this, I saw her a couple of times on and around campus, and she did not look well. Her hair was matted, her skin was so dry and peeling off. I don't know what it was, but she just looked so not okay, she was not taking care of herself. And every time I saw her, she avoided eye contact, she didn't look at me, she completely avoided me and ignored me. I just left her alone. If she was gonna leave me alone, I was gonna leave her alone. Summer came, I thought it was all over until about the middle of summer, I started receiving texts ranging from people who I went to high school with all the way in California and people who I had never even spoke to in my college. I ran out of time, so go to part 2 if you want to watch the rest of the story.
Get ready with me while I tell you the story about the crazy psychopathic stalker that I encountered 4 years ago. So really, this was about 5 years ago, maybe 6. I don't know, I'm really bad with dates, but I was about midway through my hoe phase. And this was really just a period of time for me that I wasn't in any significant relationship. I was more so in 5. Anyway, I was going through a period of time where I would casually entertain men on social media with a glass of wine. That was my thing to do. On the weekends, I would have a glass of wine and answer some DMs. Anyway, on this specific night, I answered this one guy, and his name on Instagram was My NY Story, which, if he slides into your DMs, beware. He's a fucking stalker. Anyway, so yeah, his name was Angel, and he was DMing me, whatever. Long story short, a few months go by, not even months, a few weeks go by, and we had been DMing back and forth, And he really liked me. And for me, it was just entertainment because I already had people. Like, I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, I was not actually interested. It was just entertaining. Anyway, it got to the point that he wanted to hang out. He wanted to come see me. And I was like, well, sir, you live by yourself. DK, and it makes more sense for me to just come see you. But for some reason, he was not having it. He would not let me come over. He would like refuse and tell me like, no, let me just come to you. That should have been the first red flag, which it was, because after that, I was like, yeah, screw this. I'm not seeing you if you're not letting me over your place. So anyway, time goes by and we kind of just fall off, you know, like we're not really talking anymore. I'm not interested. You're being weird. And we just fall off. So anyway, one random day when I'm no longer even thinking about fucking Angel, I'm sitting in the car in my driveway with my friend at the time. And we're both playing Fortnite on our phones. Don't ask. We had an obsession with Fortnite. And it's raining. Like we're just sitting there, just us two in the car, playing fucking Fortnite. And tell me why, in the deep depths of the dark night, we see a fucking shadow run past the car. And I was like, okay, maybe that was one of my brothers. But the fucking shadow starts going around the car, like fucking looking inside the windows, and we're like, what? Like we literally scream and both like pull our sweatshirts over our head and we're fucking freaking out. Freaking the fuck out. So this bitch throws the fucking car in reverse, not looking, and backs out of my driveway. We get like a few miles down the road and I realize that my fucking phone is blowing up. And I look at my phone and it's Angel. He's calling me. He's texting me. I open up the text. Yo, who's that nigga that you're in the car with? I caught you red-handed. He's going off on me. Like I cheated on him. We don't have to do a part 2.
Stalked and watched by a man for over a year of my life, and it all began through public transport. When I originally posted about this, I did not expect 18 million people to be interested, but I guess looking back, it was a pretty crazy time in my life. I was sitting at the train station one day when I noticed a man sitting across from me, and I could tell that he was looking at me out of the corner of his eye. And when he noticed that I could see him looking at him, he smiled at me, I smiled back, and when the train came, we both got on the train and we both got off at the same stop. But I didn't see him after that, so I didn't think anything of it. Little did I know that this was the beginning of me being watched every single day of my life. I was in school at the time, so I was catching public transport nearly every day. I believe that this is how this man worked out every single thing about me. Where I was going, where I went to school, where I lived, what I did for fun, who my closest friends were. For the first couple of weeks, he would just follow me through the train line. I would be on my way to the train station, and at some point I would turn around and he would always be walking behind. At first I thought he was just a mature student that had moved in close by because he was always carrying a full backpack and always getting the trains. But after a few weeks I started to notice it didn't matter what time I was going to the station or what station I was getting off at, he was always there. I never saw him step foot out of a house, but at some point or another he always joined me. One day I started to wonder if I was just being paranoid. So when the train came, I stepped 1 foot onto the train, he stepped 1 foot onto the train. Stepped off the train, he stepped off the train. I was living in a house that backed out onto an empty field and bushland, so the day that I left the house and saw him standing by a tree in the empty field, I knew he had to have been waiting somewhere very close by my house. The scary thing about stalking is he wasn't doing enough to be incriminated at this point. Unless he has physically touched me or assaulted me, it's technically not a crime. He was just doing enough to torment me and make me feel insane. If I went to the park, I could look over and he was just sitting under a tree watching me. If I was at a restaurant, 2 minutes later, he would walk in by himself with the creepiest smile on his face, and he would sit across the room facing me to just stare. And you know how they say psychopaths have dead eyes? This man had the scariest dead eyes I've ever seen. At this point in my life, all of my closest friends knew about my stalker. I became increasingly paranoid. I stopped catching public transport, I stopped leaving the house by myself, and I tried not to go to public places. But then came the night that I was meeting with my crush, and this is where things really escalated. I told my mum I was staying at a friend's place, so I knew in order for me to go and meet up with this guy, I was going to have to catch the train. I waited until literally the minute before the train and then sprinted to the station. Mind you, this was at 10 o'clock at night. Ran directly onto the train. I thought I was safe, but then I saw a man board the train with a hood on and he had his head down. He had a backpack on, but I wasn't sure if it was him because this man wore the same outfit every single day. But today he was hiding his face. I called the guy that I was meeting up with, I put him on speaker and made sure that he was going to meet me at the station. I got off, he got off, but then I lost him. I figured maybe because I was with a guy, it had scared him off and I tried to enjoy my night. Being a teenager, we went to a park to hang out, but the whole time I just had this eerie, bad feeling. I couldn't help but feel like something really bad was going to happen this night. I got a few missed calls from my mum and she texted me saying, "Jade, are you okay? I can't sleep." I decided my intuition was right and that it was time to go home. I could feel myself being watched, I just couldn't see him. We left the park to walk back to the station. I looked behind me again. Only this time in the very distance, I saw a hooded man waiting by the park. As we walked, he started to walk. I started walking faster, and when I got to the station, even though he was nowhere in sight, I decided to lock myself in the bathroom so that if he came, he would think that I wasn't there and he wouldn't get on the train. I waited until the very last minute when I heard doors closing and I ran out of the bathroom onto the train. I got on an empty carriage. I thought I was safe until I heard the connecting doors open and I saw his feet walking towards me. As far as I could see, the train was completely empty except for me and him, so I was terrified and started running through the carriages to find other people. I knew this was his perfect opportunity. But thank God I found a group of people who were on their way back from clubbing. I was frantically shaking and explained my situation to them, and they were nice enough to let me sit with them. But I knew that I wasn't in the clear because soon enough I was going to have to get off the train alone to the dark, empty streets. This is where it gets crazy, and this man had a crazy history, but I'm going to have to make a part 2.
I have a stalker, and this update is probably the scariest one yet. Something really freaking scary happened last night. I was sound asleep, and at 3:28, my TV just turns on. And it doesn't just turn on to, like, the title screen or anything. It goes to that random video, like, ferrets from the same people who made Charlie the Unicorn. And I thought it was, like, an alarm. So I was like, Alexa, turn the alarm off, and she didn't. And I was like, Alexa, turn the podcast off, and she didn't. And I realized that it was coming from downstairs. I go downstairs because it's really loud, and I take the remote and I turn it off, and I go upstairs and I don't think anything of it. Then I remembered about that randomly at work, and I was like, that's really weird. And so I thought to check my cameras, and my free trial expired, so none of my cameras were visually picking up anything, but they did detect the motion. And at exactly 3:28, well, first of all, I think it was 3:13 before this happens, like 15 minutes before, it detected a motion where the cars are, and the car windows you can, like, see to the living room. And then at 3:28, right as I got up and turned the TV off, there was more motion in the cars. So I'm thinking maybe it was my stalker just trying to see if I was home or if I was awake or something. I don't know for sure, but do any of you guys know if you can turn on an LG TV without a remote? Like, if you could do it on your iPhone, or if you could buy, like, the same remote and be able to turn it on like that? Because I'm not sure what it was, but yeah. And I'm going to provide receipts. Okay, so as you can see over here, where I circled, at 3:13 a.m., there was movement in my cars. Sorry, I blacked out my address over there, and then 3:28 inside front where I turned off the TV, there was more movement, and then once again at 3:28. So I think someone turned on my TV, was watching from my cars, and then left when they saw I was awake, but I'm not sure. I need you guys to help me and to help me figure it out. So yeah, if you have any information on how LG TV works, that would be great.
This is a story of the time I got stalked by a man in my apartment complex. And we're going to be eating Chick-fil-A while we tell the story. Here we go. All right, on today's menu, we have the American #1 deluxe meal. You know, we got the fries, we got the barbecue sauce, best sauce ever. Don't argue with your mama. And then we have the lemonade. So it was a regular schmegular Sunday. And I told myself, let me start my Sunday right after church. You know what? Let me go to the gym and get a quick workout in, you know? Thinking nothing of it. I'm just going to go work out. I go to the gym and I'm doing my workout. And I'm like, all right, great. Nobody's in here. Next thing you know, a man that looks familiar walks in. Mind you, I've encountered this man before, but he's never approached me. All right? Keep that in mind. Every other time I'll see this man at the gym, I'll see him watching me, like predator type stare vibes. And I would always give a mean look, like I'm in the gym. Bombastic side eye, literally. It's a face you can't miss. The face was mean. And he would look away. But this Sunday, I was in the gym by myself. So he had some type of courage that day. I'm at the squat rack. I move, right? Because I see him watching me. And I'm doing squats. No, ma'am. Move to the bench to change my workout. This man sees me, approaches me to ask me if I'm done using the squat rack. I said, don't be a bozo. The bench is over here. The squat rack, it's all the way over there. What do you think? Do you see any weight on there? And I responded to him. I was like, yes, I'm done using it. You could take it. Then he had to say, oh, why are you always mad? Every time I see you look so mean, you never say hi. First time encountering this man. This is what he said? I'm expecting the man to leave me alone and go use the squat rack that he asked about but he didn't. He proceeds to say, "What's your name?" Mind you, I'm on the bench sitting. This man is like 6 foot plus, hovering over me. At this point, I feel like, I'm by myself in the gym. Nobody else is here. What do I do? It was like peer pressure. I gave him my name. He was like, "You're so beautiful." He was like complimenting my body straight away. When I tell you, I was so uncomfortable. He was talking about your legs are so shiny. You so strong. Your body look nice. I want you to be my girlfriend. Girlfriend? He proceeds by saying things like he wants to marry me, this, that, and the third. At this point, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not going to allow my face to show it. I don't want him to think he has authority over me. He goes by asking me for my phone number. He proceeds by asking me where I live. I said, "I'm not going to tell you that." He said, "Why? It's not like I'm going to do anything bad. I'm not a bad person." I said, "I don't know you." He's over here telling me where he lives, and I'm like, "I don't care. If anything, I'll call the police on you." Well, I didn't say the police part to him, but that was me in my head. Basically peer pressured me to give him my number and called it right in front of my face. And I was thinking about putting a wrong number too. He makes me call his number back. I went home, told my sister, come back for part 2.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to do a really quick story time of the time I had a stalker in high school that eventually broke into my house, and to this day I still don't know who it was. Freshman year of high school was my first year in public school. I feel like that is important to add. My parents really did not want me to go to public school. I begged and begged and begged them. I was raised in private Christian school, and so anyways, for this reason, they didn't want me to go to public school. So it's my freshman year. I get a boyfriend. I start dating this guy that plays on the football team at my school, and everything was going great. Like, I was having a great time meeting new people, like broadening my horizons, whatever. I started getting these really weird texts and like messages on Facebook from this blank profile. They would send stuff like, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing? How's your boyfriend's name, so-and-so?" And they never wanted to tell me who they were. So I was like, okay, this is weird. So the text started getting like more and more violent and more aggressive. And it was saying things like, "I'm going to catch you after volleyball practice, tie your hands up, throw you in a bush, and SAU." Okay, so things like that. Things like, "I'm going to find your boyfriend after football practice and I'm gonna," or like just crazy stuff. Okay, so it got so bad to the point where my parents and his parents, like both sets of our parents, had to get the police involved because it was scary. Like, we didn't know who it was and what was going to happen. So they got the police involved. After we got the police involved, we didn't hear from this guy for a while, right? Or this person. I still don't know who it was. So my junior year of high school, I move from my mother and father's house. I moved back in with my grandmother. Okay, I'm all the way across town, about an hour away in a whole nother school district at a whole nother school. My new boyfriend, I get a new boyfriend. I'm going to run out of time. Oh my God, I'm probably going to have to do a part 2. My new boyfriend starts getting these same texts like, "You better break up with your girlfriend. If you don't break up with her, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt her. I'm going to hurt her family." Like, what is going on? Okay. I'm gonna run out. I have to do a part 2.
Want a story time? I got one for you, and it's super creepy. For context, for those who don't know, this is one of my favorite creators. She's in Lake Wallenpaupack right now, and I literally don't know anybody who's ever heard of it, let alone has ever been to Lake Wallenpaupack. So I left a comment and was like, "Oh, I spent a summer there. Did you know it's man-made and there's a whole town under there?" And she responded saying, "I just Googled it. That's insane. How was your summer there?" And I was like, it was honestly a crazy summer. I worked at the gas station and I had a stalker, but other than that, it was great. So she was like, "We need a story time." So here's that story time. Freshman year of college, I became really good friends with this one girl. She had a little lake summer cottage house at Lake Wallenpaupack and asked if I wanted to spend a summer with her. I was like, yeah, that sounds like so much fun. We got summer jobs working at the Turkey Hill, and I did night shifts. Typically, there's only one person on night shifts because there's nothing really going on and it's very quiet. There's not a lot of people. So I usually work by myself. One night, this man comes in, he's wearing sunglasses, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why are you wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night? But okay, whatever. He comes in to buy a pack of cigarettes, and he's just like, "Oh my goodness, you're so pretty. You're so beautiful. Where are you from? What's your Facebook? What's your name? Do you have siblings?" Just asking me all these weird personal questions about myself. I'm like, I don't really want to answer these questions. He buys the cigarettes and he leaves. Another one of my shifts, he comes in again, and this time there's like a long line of people behind him. And this man again is asking me questions about myself, only this time he's giving me his phone and it's like, put your name in, give me your Facebook, give me your phone number. And this man would not leave unless I gave him something. So unfortunately, I just gave him my freaking Facebook. He sends me a friend's request, he's liking my posts, he's DMing me, he's making me really uncomfortable, so I block him immediately. But it doesn't stop there. He still comes in and he's just always asking me questions about myself, flirting with me, and just won't leave me alone when I'm like, please stop asking me your
making me uncomfortable, sir. It actually got to the point where one of my coworkers and my friend's mom had to confront the man, and my friend's mom called the police because this man would not leave me alone and refused to leave. I was only 19 years old at the time, so I was creeped out. I was terrified. One night at another one of my shifts, I'm there by myself. It's a quiet night, and this car across the street pulls into the high school, parks there, has their headlights on for a while, and then just shuts them off. And there's just a person sitting there, and it looks like they're watching into the Turkey Hill from the high school. I didn't think too much of it until I realized the car was the man's car who's been coming in and was harassing me. I was super freaked out. I was super scared. It was all super creepy. Told my coworkers about it, and we went to our boss. And after that, my coworker who actually confronted the man before, that coworker was like a really big guy, so our boss ended up putting him on the night shifts with me, and ever since then, that man never came back to harass me ever again. So for sure he was coming in because he saw that I was alone, but once he saw that I was no longer working night shifts alone, he just stopped coming in altogether. But yeah, overall it was a super crazy, creepy experience.
You guys, oh my god. I've never been so scared in my life. I'm just sitting in my car at the end of my driveway. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I was walking Jackson, I was walking my dog, and when I got almost back to my house, one of my neighbors 2 houses down came running up to me, and I don't know him. And he was like, "Hey, I saw you putting that window unit in, so obviously your central air must be down. Let me come over and take a look at it. I know you live alone." And I'm like, "No, I'm pretty much over it. That unit 12,000 BTU, it cooled off the whole house, so I'm good with that. I don't need, anyone to look at it." And at this point, I'm still walking with my dog, so now I'm almost at my house to my steps. And he's still saying, no, I'm right here, let me just look at it, and practically pushing his way into my house. So at this point, I pick up Jackson, and we're standing like in my foyer for, my doorway going into the living room, and I have my dog in my hands, and I'm trying to find every excuse to leave that door open. I will not close that door. And he's trying to find every excuse to get that door closed. He kept saying, "We gotta get the door closed because the AC, all the coolness is getting out." And I kept saying, "No, it's fine." And I just knew, I just had this bad vibe. I knew by how hard he was trying to get that door closed what he was gonna do. So I picked up Jackson, my dog, and I came outside, and now I'm just standing out, soaking wet. I'm standing outside in the rain, and he's like, "Why are you outside?" I'm like, "Prime's about to be here with a package delivery." I lied. I said, "So they can't find my driveway, so I'm just gonna wait for him out here." After that, he kept saying, "Well, I need some water." He was like trying to get me to go back in the house and get him water, so I said, "I'm not gonna get it for you. It's in the fridge. You can go get yourself a bottle of water." Like, he was trying so hard to get me to go back in the house. And he knows I live here by myself. That was so scary. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? I can't believe I'm doing this on fucking camera. What the fuck? What's wrong with people? He was trying so hard to get me back in the house. And he knew that I lived alone and knew that my AC was down, which means he's been watching me. And you know how creepy that is? I can't fucking deal with life right now. It's okay, baby. Come here. Come here, baby. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay.